You'll have to pardon the mess. Just came back from a trip with Mazda, and so I'm just gonna do a quick setup and film a video talking about the new Sony RX0 II. I'm just gonna set up the studio. Got my little sound blanket. I'm just gonna place this over the door. Here, this is what I typically do to treat my room. I normally place this Fernie pad over this door over here, and that way it cuts some of that reverb that you might hear in any room. Oh, there we go. It's not the best, but it certainly does the job. Let's turn it back over here. Go. Just stuff in the back. So sorry, guys. Okay, let's talk about the Sony RX0 II. Okay, so right off the bat, this video is not sponsored by Sony whatsoever. I just got a press email from Sony announcing the new RX0 II, and I'm intrigued by this camera, and so we're making a video about it. Honestly, it's probably gonna be more of a spec kind of video, and so if you wanna see first impressions of this camera, then check out the links below. Some of my friends have already received the camera to test out for themselves. Jason, Jenna, Justine, and Farouk, so I'll make sure to put those links in the description below if you wanna see those first impressions. But for this video, we're gonna talk about some of the specs that I'm really interested in, and also some of the features that I'm not really sure about. Again, not sponsored by Sony, so just stop right there. So real quick, where's the email? Good thing this isn't live because I am wasting a lot of time right now. Okay, so some quick highlights of the camera. It has a 1-inch 15.3 megapixel sensor that shoots 4K up to 30 frames a second. That's cool and all, and pretty much standard these days, but what I'm really impressed with is that it has a longer record limit of up to 45 minutes, I believe. And I think I've seen a video by Farouk where he recorded up to 50 minutes. I don't know for a fact myself, I'll have to test it out in person, but longer record times in a tiny little camera, that's pretty cool. The camera features a Zeiss Tessar T 24mm f4 fixed wide angle lens. Now, I don't know if the focal length means 24mm full frame or cropped. Again, we'll have to do some comparisons when I get the camera, but from what I've seen so far, it looks wide enough. Definitely not as wide as the GoPro Hero 7, but from the footage that I've seen, there doesn't seem to be any distortion on the corners, and so that's a good thing. The aperture is a constant f4, which may be a good or a bad thing, I don't know. It might have been better if it was a f2.8, but then again, I don't know if you want to use this camera in low light situations. The camera has an in-body image stabilization, but it's electronic. I don't know how I feel about that because I've seen electronic stabilization before, and it does look kind of weird to the point where you can see the camera is trying to stabilize itself, and so it's not that natural. But Sony just updated their mobile app where you can ingest footage from the RX0 II and do some post-stabilization there. And I saw Jason's video where he compared the footage before post-stabilization and after post-stabilization. It looks pretty smooth post-stabilization, but it seems like there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through to get your footage to be stable. But if you do want to see that footage for yourself, then again, make sure to check out the video links below. As for the photography side of the camera, it shoots up to 16 frames a second of continuous shooting. Pretty impressive for a tiny little camera. I mean, here are the images from the press release. They look pretty good right off the bat. I don't know if these are RAW or JPEGs, and so when I get my hands on this camera to test out the video and photo features, I'm definitely gonna import these photos in Lightroom and see how far I can push it. The outer casing of the camera seems pretty rugged. According to Sony, it is crush-proof, dust-proof, and waterproof that goes down to 2 meters underwater. Jenna did a video where she attached the RX0 II to an underwater scooter, and it just looks pretty cool. Now, even though this camera has a fixed 24mm lens, it does have clear image zoom. And what that means is that the camera zooms in on the actual sensor without any image quality loss. At least that's what it is for the other Sony cameras. Hopefully it's the same thing for this camera. The RX0 II has a mic jack, so that's really good if you want to capture clear audio. But what I'm most intrigued about this camera is the flip up screen. It just looks so cute, but also incredibly practical to help frame your shots. Now, I know most of you have shot with GoPros or GoPro-like cameras before, or even 360 cameras, and while those cameras are great, they don't have a flip up screen to help compose your shot. This is where the RX0 II intrigues me the most. Having a camera that's lightweight, portable, and a flip up screen just opens up a whole bunch of options to film things that are a lot easier than with a big DSLR or mirrorless camera. For example, I can see myself using the RX0 II for a top-down shot if I were to do some product videos. I would have my main camera right over here, and I'd have the RX0 II right over here to shoot down on the product that I'm filming. I can then use the flip-up screen to tilt down and see if I'm composed properly. And the fact that it has a flip-up screen, I can actually tilt down that camera and and make sure that my shot is composed. I can also see this camera being used to film interior car scenes, and so if I were driving and I wanted to vlog, I can attach the RX0 Mark II to my rearview mirror and use the flip up screen to help compose my shot and vlog away. There's probably a bunch of other different practical situations to use this camera to your advantage, but what I'm also intrigued about this camera is the new color science. From what I've seen so far, it looks like it has an option to shoot an S-Log2. Now, I don't know if that's the only picture profile. I don't know if there's HLG, S-Log3, or Cine 4. Until I can get my hands on this camera, I don't know. But if it does have the same color science as the A7 III, that just makes it a whole lot easier for me to color correct in post, especially when I'm trying to match two cameras to look the same. Okay, specs aside, the one thing that is not really appealing about this camera is the price point. $699 US. I mean, for the same price, you can get a used A6300 plus a kit lens and you're good to go. And for a little bit more, you can get yourself a brand new A6400 camera body. $699 for a camera that would be probably best used as a secondary camera or even a third camera. Again, these are just specs, and so until I can get my hands on the RX0 Mark II, I don't know. I did put in a request to receive the camera hopefully before NAB, and if I do get it before then maybe I can vlog with it during NAB. But rest assured, if and when I do receive this camera, I'm gonna do a lot of comparisons between the RX0 Mark II with the A7 III, the A6500, and so on and so forth. And this is where you come in. I wanna know, what are some tests that you'd like me to run with the RX0 Mark II? What are some cool and creative ways to use this camera in a practical sense? Any and all suggestions, I totally welcome. I wanna do this together. It's you and me, just you and me. We're gonna do this together. We're gonna don't take that out of context, please. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Again, if anything else, I am intrigued by this camera. I'm still pretty dubious about it. I don't know if it's worth the $699 price point, but I am intrigued and I really want to see if this camera would complement my production. All right, boys and girls, I'm out of here, but let me know. Do you want to get this camera? Are you intrigued? What kind of camera test should I run if I get this camera? Comment below, let's start a conversation, and hopefully I'll get the camera soon to test out. So many cameras this year already. So many. All right, well, thumbs up and subscribe if you like this video. Hit me up on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you in the next video.